Hey, it's Nick here from Royal LePage Performance Realty in Ottawa. And today I'm walking you through the third step in the home buyer purchase process, which is negotiation and due diligence. You can find all the steps for our home buyer purchase process on our YouTube, along with plenty more resources, or go to nickfunditis.ca. So the third step in the purchase process is negotiation and due diligence. They're included together because there's often some renegotiation in the due diligence phase. This is the step that most people find the most stressful. Generally speaking, most people do not do a lot of negotiation in their regular life, but that's what we are here for. If you take away everything else that a great realtor is supposed to do for you, negotiation is the one that you want us to keep for you. So here's the role. Your realtor's role is to negotiate on your behalf. That doesn't mean we are making decisions without your input, but we are the go-between between you and the seller and their agent. So we're helping get you the best possible deal for the home and given your needs and motivations and trying to find leverage to help get you there. Your responsibility here is to try and negotiate without emotion. And that's harder to do for some people than for others. We might run into some challenging personalities on the other side or something unexpected with negotiation, or you might simply love the home and not want to lose it, which kind of pushes you towards offering too much to the other side. We're going to help you strip emotion from the process as much as possible while focusing on your goals. Lastly, this is where your lender finally springs into action to get firm financing for you. In Ontario, this is something called a binder. It's a commitment from the lender to you on a specific property on a specific price and terms. Now, at some point, we're going to end up with common ground between the buyer and the seller, and your offer is going to get accepted. And you usually add two more people to your team here. So this is what we're going to look at now. So here's one, and this is your lawyer. So a lawyer is a necessary member of your team in Ontario, and we'll talk more about that. So legal fees form part of the closing costs, which run between 2 and 2.5% of the cost of the home. That's your closing costs in total. Legal fees can be quoted anywhere from the low thousands up to over 2,000. My recommendation is to, when you're interviewing lawyers, pick someone who quotes all-inclusive fees generally and who answers your questions well and promptly. The real value in a lawyer is not saving a couple $100 at this stage, but when everything goes smoothly on a real estate purchase, you don't always see the value of a lawyer, but it's if something unexpected comes up, that's where you want the lawyer that you really have a good connection with. Now, a lawyer is required to close a purchase in Ontario. Like I said before, I simply say that because we border Quebec in Ottawa here, and a lot of people coming from Quebec are used to closing a property with a notary, which is a little bit different. Now, they might not be involved at this stage. Your lawyer might not, anyways, especially if it's not a condo purchase and it's an uncomplicated offer. Sometimes your lawyer doesn't get involved until the purchase is firm. So don't be surprised if you don't need one yet. And if finally, a big part of the role of a lawyer's job is to communicate with the seller's lawyer to make sure that everything goes smoothly with the closing. Pick up this fella next. And this is your home inspector. Most non-condo purchases in Ottawa involve a home inspector at some point. In Ontario, the cost for a home inspection is usually $500 to $600 plus tax. This will get you a 3-hour inspection with your realtor plus a report. And then if any specialists are needed for a quote, inspectors are often well connected in this regard. And we'll talk briefly about what kind of specialists you might need. So here's your full team. This is the biggest it's going to get. We call this part from accepted offer to firm purchase kind of the due diligence or conditional period. So when we say negotiation and due diligence, we are in the due diligence here. So I talked about specialists earlier. So your home inspector is a generalist. They can give you a list of all the problems on a home, and you are just deciding what to do with those. But sometimes you need experts in a certain field for a quote or for a clarification, just to give you an idea of the costs or the severity of an issue that you find. So some of the most common would be like well and septic on rural properties, certain kinds of roof for like a flat tar and gravel roof, foundation. Every once in a while you run into say like a preserved wood foundation in Ontario. And that's something that you might want a specialist for, or you just want quotes for painters or contractors, things like that. Next, the point of doing due diligence on a purchase is not to pass or fail a house, but to find as many problems as we can so you have a clear idea of what you're buying. There are thousands of individual issues that you can find in a home, but they all fall into three buckets. Thinking of them in this way helps this part of the purchase to be a lot less stressful. And this is one of the parts of this whole video series that I think is the most helpful for new buyers. Now, number one is acceptable issues. So if you were to buy a home in the Beacon Hill part of Ottawa, it probably has aluminum wiring. For most people, this is going to be an acceptable issue because although it is a fire hazard, it's one that an electrician can take care of pretty easily. There's a known cost to fix it, and that fix is permanent. So once you fix it, it's never an issue again. Then there's your renegotiate issues. So these would be issues. They're usually 1% to 2% of the price of the house or more. They're usually a surprise to the buyer and the seller, and they would be something where you want to renegotiate to see, to compensate for the new value of what you've found here. And then finally, there's walk away issues. So walk away issues would be anything that's that either is so expensive that you can't take it on as an issue to fix it before closing, or the seller won't, or sometimes even if you did fix it, you wouldn't feel good about the purchase. So you get to choose what bucket any of these are in, and that's a really important thing to remember here. So if you make it through this stage with no walkaway issues and decide what to do about the rest, we let the sellers know with a form called a notice of fulfillment of condition, and we move on to the next step. And then finally, the last step is how we're going to close smoothly. So you can find all of these steps and many more tips on our website and on our YouTube channel, or of course, just book a call or meeting with our team or me, and we're happy to help you find your next home. I hope you found this video useful. Go ahead and share it with anybody you think might get some value out of it, and we'll talk to you soon, I hope.